Hello, and welcome to the Booze Book Biker.
Yay!
Yay! Episode
8.
8.
Yeah.
Episode 8.
With special guest,
Keel!
Happy to be here.
Welcome, Keel. Yay!
You're welcome.
He's a magical presence. So, the 12th step for At the Mountains of Madness, which is this week's book.
By H.P. Lovecraft.
That's right. Is number 1, bring an armada to Antarctica. Number 2, talk about the Peabody drill for an unreasonable amount of time.
It was an unreasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Almost a
But
page.
it was kind of interesting.
It was so much longer than a page.
Number 3, unlearn how to lead an expedition.
Yeah.
Dyer is the worst expedition leader.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
Terrible. Let's all split up.
Yeah, exactly. Number 4, Lake, who is also a part of the investigation, investigates some real high mountains, higher than the Himalayas even.
Very high.
They were real high.
Real high.
Almost too high to fly over.
Yeah. Unlike Lovecraft, I can't describe things. Number 5, find some ooky spooky pineapple-bodied starfish-faced husks, known as the Elder Things. Yes, exactly. Worship those pineapples. 6, the origins of these are determined to be very, very early, like before
Forever.
forever.
Before prehistory, so pre-prehistory. The prelude to prehistory.
Exactly.
Real old kids.
Number 7, discover dismantled camp with horrific dissections.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. 8, they fly over the mountains and it turns out they're just walls.
Yep.
And there's a big city full of cones and cubes on the other side. I guess that's how you define a city. I don't know. 9, they learn the Elder Scrolls history through murals and all this kind of stuff.
Not the Elder Scrolls.
I said the Elder Scrolls, didn't I?
Yep.
Elder Things.
Elder Things.
Elder
Not,
Things.
not the Elder Scrolls.
Well, we're getting sued. Number 10. Find tunnel leading to subterranean lake. 11. Find blind white penguin sheep. That's my favorite part of the book. And finally, 12. Escape in a plane while Danforth, I forget what you call these people.
He's a scientist.
And a pilot.
Yeah, but he's like a student. Grad student.
Grad student.
There it is. Loses his sanity.
It's like a proto.
As I lose my vocabulary. That's exactly right. That's the mating call of the pineapple-bodied starfish. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, what did you guys think of the book?
I enjoy. It was very suspenseful. I wanted to keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
There were parts there was just so much description.
It got really suspenseful, and then he just described the suspense, and it wrecked it.
Yeah, that is true. I thought that was kind of true, though. A lot of times, I don't know. He went way too in-depth with a lot of, very minute details that nobody was really going to care about. But I guess it's cool he kind of justified how they could actually go to Antarctica in 1912 or whatever.
I feel like H.P. Lovecraft just used his writing as a platform for how nerdy he was.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which is his right.
Which is
It
fine.
was cool that he did have a lot of science stuff in there that I thought
Yeah.
was sweet. As far as geologic, you could tell that he was very familiar with geologic time periods and processes just by the way that he wrote about it, which was good considering that the main character or the narrator, I guess, is a geologist.
Yep.
But then when he says things about the Necronomicon, I'm like, oh, is that real too? No. So then you get confused. What's real? What's not real?
There is some stuff that you definitely had to draw to other H.P. Lovecraft books, which is kind of unfortunate. But I feel like that is just how, because it was published as a serial, But
Definitely.
what are you gonna do?
Exactly. So the regulars in this book were, number 1, the protagonist and narrator.
Dyer.
Dyer.
He's
He's in dire need of
in
help.
dire need. So that should have been easy to remember.
Right? And then Lake, who's just an ambitious guy who dies, as most ambitious men do.
And he's all like, well, I'm going to go do what I want to do.
Exactly.
I have a real good feeling about it over here.
That's cool.
See ya, boss.
Let me just take all these supplies and stuff and go over here. All the stuff we all really need, like food and shelter. I'm just going to leave with all this stuff.
And then Dyer, the great expedition leader he is like, yeah, that's fine.
That's cool.
Nothing
Do you guys
bad
want to
will
go to the other base?
Nothing
He, like,
bad will
splits
happen.
the whole group up.
Yeah. We're in, like, not a remote place at all.
Yep.
So,
It's also funny because a lot of it, when they split up, is like they're right around that time they're talking about how hard it is to communicate because of the weather, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll just keep going."
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Just stay over there. We'll just keep exploring.
It'll work out. It's not cold or anything.
Did I mention Danforth yet?
No.
Danforth. Tell us about Danforth.
He's the grad student, and he goes insane because he sees like a big monster or something.
He won't even say what he saw.
He won't tell anyone.
We don't know.
Which is weird because you think he would tell Dyer since they went through that together.
Yeah.
The most interesting part in the book is the only part that H.P. Lovecraft won't describe.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
It's so meta. He's just the greatest author ever because of that. He tricked us all.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. And then there's Peabody, which I don't know how it's pronounced like that.
No, it's Peabody.
I know,
You
but
look
it's
at it,
P-A.
it looks. You think it should be Padody or something, but it's Peabody.
Pagoda.
Pow bunny.
Yeah, exactly. But he invented like the big drill that was super.
That was
super
talked about
advanced.
for like 20 pages.
And he also like made the airplanes faster or something. He did something with the airplanes. Anyways.
Must not have been that important because I don't remember.
There was lots
didn't
of
work out very well.
lots of boring with that drill early in the book.
Yeah.
Lots.
Too much science.
Gotta get those ice cores.
Exactly. And then I just have the elder things. They were pretty important.
Absolutely. Very
They were
important.
key.
A character, and then the Shoggoths.
Also important.
Exactly.
And the Shoggoths were basically there. This is one thing that made me a little crazy. Like we are keyed into their history, like a really extensive history,
Yep.
by Dyer just looking at murals and
Right.
sculptures.
I think that was
Did
a
you-
lot. You had to suspend a little bit of belief. Personally, I did with that part.
Well, did you guys get like a time frame of like how he deciphered these things and was like, oh yeah, that's the history?
And they never even ate a sandwich. I mean, that must have taken forever, right?
Yeah, he describes everything else except just leaves out when they go.
Did they even drink water?
Well, they never talked about bringing water up there.
That is true.
That's true. They talked about bringing everything else, no water.
Maybe they just drank the gasoline from the airplanes and it was all like
So,
hallucinations.
if anything else, we found that even though Lovecraft describes a lot of stuff, he forgets some pretty important
Yeah.
things. With all those lines of description.
Everything that actually helps you survive
Yeah.
is left out of his description. That's good. Next section. What's up, Kale?
Well, I was gonna say because when you were talking about the hieroglyphic wall.
Yeah.
I think the reason that they say that he can describe it, although I do think it's still too quick, is that it's supposed to be like the basis for all ancient languages. So he like already recognizes. But that's another thing that they don't really describe in the book, but you know it from like other Lovecraft books.
Oh.
That like essentially there's the thing that's the cult of Cthulhu, which is basically they're spread all around the world, and because they're so old it just grows into all these different languages. So all like the hieroglyphs would be a piece of different languages.
So you wouldn't have to suspend so much disbelief if you had read
If
the
you
other.
had read the other books, correct.
Got
And
it.
I think they do glance over it a little bit in like when he talks about the Necronomicon. But it's like I can definitely see how someone would miss that, because the only reason I knew was from reading the other Lovecraft books.
Nerd. Just kidding.
Proud of it, right?
I guess.
Yeah. No. It is what it
Does
is.
it mean I'll have friends?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
Because
friends.
if I'll have friends, then I'll be whatever you guys. I'll do whatever you want. Anything.
Okay.
I'm gross.
Whoa. Took it to the next level.
The show just took a dark and
Yeah,
twisty
yeah,
turn.
exactly.
I blame H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
We're all going crazy.
Ah, Tikikili!
It's so intimidating.
So before we started recording, we were talking about some of our favorite moments in the book.
Yeah. Penguins. Penguins are key.
Oh yeah, the penguins were great because they were just blind, like
They were described as albino penguins, right?
yeah.
Blind albino.
Albino like cave penguin things. Like
So I just imagine them like sliding on their bellies into rocky walls. Like, that's not the ocean.
They're just so confused all the time because there's no snow. It's like they were tricked in there a long time ago and have never found their way out. They just think their friends go missing.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are we going to get out of this place?
Exactly.
I enjoyed the pieces of paper as breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
That
It's
was-
very Hansel and Gretel.
There was a lot of stuff like that where I appreciated how Lovecraft tried to, like, I don't know, bestow some sense of realism. Like, if you were in a cave like that, you would want to leave some kind of trail. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Or, like, and when he talked about going to Antarctica, like, I know the descriptions were really long, but it was nice that he kind of explained instead of just saying we had 3 planes full of guys and a drill. Because then you'd be like, wait, why would you bring all those people, you know? But I don't know. He kind of justifies it, so I guess I appreciate that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a little bit thick in
Right.
a lot of parts of the...
I mean, I do like description. I just felt like sometimes his description got in the way of moving the plot
Yeah.
forward.
It was
At
almost
times.
too minute at some times.
Yeah.
Like, he would get into, like, this, like the drill.
He got really
Like, do we
into
really
the
need
expedition.
to know that much about the drill? Like,
Right.
it made sense to learn about how all these people interacted, like how many pilots he had and whatnot. Like, you'd want to have more than one pilot. But just talking so much about this drill, like, he could have just said it's a drill that is heated and can go through ice, and that would have been essentially, we would have got the same thing.
Yeah.
He could have focused on a lot more important things.
Very true. Very true.
And then some parts, they were really detailed, but then I still didn't. It's like, wow, we just spent a lot of time describing that, and I'm still not sure what
Yeah.
we're talking about. For example, I still don't have a clear understanding of what the Elder Things look like. Like, I know they had the things off the top of their heads, but there was just so much detail, and a lot of it didn't make sense, and I know there were spindly things. So what do they look like to you guys?
I guess I'm kind of, like, I'm pretty familiar with Lovecraft, you know, mythos, so I've seen a lot of other artists' renditions of them even before I read the book.
Right.
Which I feel like that really hampered me in that sense, because when they started talking about them, I could almost kind of tune out during the description because I was like, I already had it in my head. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I see them as like a weird, I don't know. It's like a kind of bubbling mass almost. I don't know.
You can't cover up your tracks with I don't knows all the time.
They
What
had
the hell's wrong?
they had star heads, right?
Yeah.
So, what does that mean to have a star head? Like, did their head actually look like a starfish?
That's what I got.
That was my impression.
Yep.
Was that they had like a head with a starfish with others,
And they had like
weird
triangle
appendages.
feet.
Yeah.
But then they also had like spindly things coming off of
They
them.
did. Little feelers.
Yeah. And they had orifices everywhere.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
That word is just weird. When you just describe orifices all over your body, it just is disgusting.
Yeah.
What comes out or goes into those things, I don't want to know.
How would you give that thing a hug?
I would never hug it. Never hug it. I wouldn't even want to dissect it.
Right?
Disgusting.
And they were asexual. They reproduced from spores.
Yeah, I thought that was actually kind of cool, like, just that at that time that you would think of, like, spores, you know, that is something that speaks to, like, how he was really into science, because, you know,
That's true.
It's just, I don't know, reproducing by spores is really interesting, I guess.
To say the least.
Not as much fun, though, in the normal way. Let's be
They have
honest.
nothing
How
to
you
compare
know?
it to.
You're right.
Wow.
How do you know?
That's just, what the hell?
Oh, well.
From experience.
I'm saying reproducing by spores.
Oh. No, I
You
don't
can't
know
say that's
anything
not
about
enjoyable.
Because you don't know. And they wouldn't reproduce unless they wanted to take over new areas.
Right.
They wouldn't release their spores.
Which it kind of implies that they just have no lifespan then. Like they could just live forever then.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? If they never have to reproduce, then eventually they would die out.
Like they only reproduce out of need.
Yeah. Which I guess they never
Bro.
explicitly go into really. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? You could kind of infer, especially since those ones had been around, you know, for so long.
And how do they live in the ice like that?
Those penguins.
The penguins aren't
Penguins.
They eat the penguins
They're
when
a
they go on the
pastoral culture.
It has something to do with the penguins.
But like this advanced race, the elder things that came like when the moon first split from the earth, right?
Yeah,
Why
that
do
was
you think
crazy.
they were so scared of Cthulhu or whatever it was?
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
You know?
But it really,
Oh, is that the big thing that they're scared of?
I mean-
that's Cthulhu?
That's it,
But we don't know that because we haven't read the other books.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that is essentially what's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It is weird.
Okay, field sobriety test. We've all had a couple drinks now.
Uh-oh.
Field sobriety test. Since Keel chose this book, it is his duty to quiz us.
Oh, no.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I don't want to do
You didn't prepare questions?
I didn't prepare questions.
No, you're not supposed
This is
to.
a well sought
I don't
after
want to.
thing we're doing here.
How many pages did Lovecraft describe the drill for?
Oh, at least 20.
It's pretty long. I think if you took all the different places where he talked about the drill in the book, it would probably be a good quarter of the entire book.
Yeah, I concur.
He's
At
very
least- at
homoerotic in his descriptions of the drill.
Oh, I did not
Only
notice
you would
that.
Just kidding.
I
I
never
did not
noticed
notice
that.
No,
You have
that's a complete lie.
Oh, so much backpedaling.
Yeah. I just thought it'd be funny to say. I'm gonna be honest.
All these men alone on an expedition.
Yep, there was no women. There was no women.
I mean...
You're gonna talk about the drill
So
when
what's
you're
the
alone.
next
I
question?
don't know. I can't.
Talking about drilling into the earth?
Okay, here's my field sobriety test question for you,
Oh no.
Keel. And it's not really a ha ha, are you drunk? We're trying to trick you. It's a I don't understand, or I would like to see someone else's picture.
Okay, I'll do my best.
The Shoggoth
Mm-hmm.
at the end,
Mm-hmm.
after all this suspense and da 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 da, we
Mhm.
finally see. It's not just. There's not a lot of description.
Right.
It's very abstract. So what did you take away from that? In your mind, what does it look like?
Well, I think. Well, okay. First, what the reason I think Lovecraft did it that way is because throughout the whole book, it kind of builds up suspense. Like when you start, you know they're gonna find something in Antarctica. I mean, otherwise, why would they go there, right? You know what's gonna happen. So I think. So I think throughout the whole story, he's kind of building it up, and then when he does that, he's intentionally vague because he wants you to just fill it with like your greatest fear kind of thing, like whatever you envision it. That's what I think he was going for.
No, that's interesting.
Like a Bogart.
Yeah, or just like he wanted you to like fill it with like your boogeyman, I guess. You know, what would
Yeah.
you be the most terrifying thing you could find under the Antarctic ice, and like that's what he wants it to be. But I know that actually when I talked about bubbling masses earlier, that's what I was talking about was the Shoggoth at the end.
Right.
That I imagine it's just like a weird bubbling mass that is kind of changing, like almost like the smoke monster, except like a liquid.
Yeah.
Smoke monster from Lost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like a weird bubbling liquid that's just gross.
Yeah.
Right. Well, aren't they described as being able to like morph into different?
Yeah. Yep. Which
Things.
is yeah.
So I mean, if something like that.
Which means Danforth was really a Shoggoth.
But if something like that was like living by itself for so long and not told to work and transform into this because it's the most efficient way to work,
Yep.
it probably would turn into like some weird
Yeah.
thing.
I guess I never thought of it that in depth, but that definitely makes sense as far as like being
Yeah.
actually canon to the story.
Right. So. But yeah.
Yeah, that's how I envision
Right.
the Shoggoth.
But the Shoggoth never actually killed any humans, right?
No.
It was the elder things that
You know, the
killed
penguins.
the humans.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
They were dissected.
But
Didn't he kind of
but
say
he
like it was
talks
for
about-
scientific discovery?
That's what they're
Just
saying
like-
is that
just like
they
the
got-
humans
Well,
did.
yeah,
they just
right.
got curious, like
Yeah.
because it was like.
Well, they like
Even when
woke
he
up.
describes the scene, he's like, it looked as though someone had performed an autopsy or something
Right.
along those
Yep.
lines. I don't think it's the exact words.
And all the cans were just
Yeah.
kind of,
But
oh, what's this?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was like, and when I
Right.
like when I read that, I was thinking it reminded me of like how like a Viking raid, like if they would come in and just go through all your stuff, you know. And that's I guess it was them, except they said it was scientific. So I don't know.
Right, but why do you think they carried like the dog and whatever that guy's name is?
I just think it was because they hadn't seen them before.
Gedney.
Gedney.
Yeah, it was something.
He's the Shoggoth pickle.
The show got
What? That's good. But yeah, I think they were just curious, just because they hadn't seen humans. I believe the way the story is supposed to go, they've never seen humans before.
Right.
Yeah. So.
They were just curious.
Yeah, who's not going to be curious?
Exactly.
Who's not going to be curious about a dog and a guy and then just cut them open? You know, that's what most normal people would do.
Is that your?
Find them and cut them open. You know.
Is that what babies think about?
Some would say
I'm
that's
just
like
kidding.
serial killer behavior. Other people would say you're a biologist.
Where do you draw the line?
Who's to say that little kid in the neighborhood killing the cats isn't just a burgeoning biologist? Nobody can say that. We don't.
That's
know.
his mama's defense, that's for
I mean,
sure.
that's true.
He's just a scientist.
I mean, if there's stray cats around.
They have to be
Gotta
dealt
dissect him.
with. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Hey, you
Exactly.
gotta dissect something. Might as well be a cat.
That's right.
Wow.
At the Mountains of Madness.
Yeah. What a turn.
Great book, though. Great recommendation, Q.
Oh, I am really glad you guys liked it.
So you should read it. If you do read it, you should probably read the other works by H.P. Lovecraft.
And there's
so
a lot of them.
you can get a greater appreciation of it. It's
You
a
should also like our YouTube page, youtube.com/boozebook,
booze
and
book.
our Twitter. Follow us at boozebook.
And don't forget to go to our Facebook.
That's right.
Yeah, do all that stuff. It's fun. And next episode,
We're switching over to comics.
we're gonna read what do you call this?
Graphic novel.
We're gonna read a graphic novel.
It's a pretentious way to say comic.
A graphic novel.
Someone got really defensive when someone was like, "Oh, you're a comic book artist?" No, I'm a graphic
Yeah,
novel.
that's just something because your dad was so disappointed in you.
Yeah.
You had to be like, no, it's graphic novels, man.
Exactly.
Oh.
Whatever.
It's called Jimmy Corrigan, the Smartest Kid, and it's by Chris Ware, and we're excited to read it. We hear good things.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Signing off.
Happy to be here.